This is Sunshine Stamper, and today we are going to make a process video for Craft Roulette episode 291. We're going to talk about the parameters for this week. We're going to talk about how I am going to attempt to meet those parameters, and then I'm going to go ahead and try to create my card in real time on this video. So hopefully we come out with something that looks presentable. Alright, so let's get started. So this week's project is a postcard. The colors are Easter basket, the element is packs, packing, and the random is shiny. So for the postcard, I'm going quite literal this week, and I am using a watercolor postcard that I have here. I'm going to use my Betterpress to stamp right on this. We're going to work right on the postcard, and that is how we're going to meet the postcard parameter. For the colors, Easter basket, so I went in my color cube. I didn't want to go too literal Easter basket, but I wanted pinks and purples. So this is the card I pulled out. This is card 23 from the first color cube, the new edition. And I'm going to try to get close to these colors. I'm going to be using watercolor paint, so I don't want to spend a long time mixing and matching paint, so we're not going to go like strictly by these colors. We're just going to try to get close to them and try to stay in these color families. And these are, you know, your pinks, your purples, your Easter spring colors. For the element of packs, packing, pack, I'm going to use this press plate from PinkFresh, and I already took it out of the package because it's very crinkly when you take your stuff out. And these books are packed into a tree shape, so that is how we are going to meet the packs element. Plus you'd put your packages, your presents underneath this tree. So I think we've met that element there. And then finally for shiny, instead of putting sequins or gems or anything on, because it is a postcard, we are going to use these metallic FinTech paints at the end. And we're going to use these to add a little element of shiny to our project. So that is how we are going to attempt to meet those parameters. And this probably will be a longer video because we are doing this live real time and there's a couple different steps. It's a fairly simple card, but getting to the simpleness, there are a couple steps. The first step is we are going to use the Betterpress plate. And I love my Betterpress. As you could tell, my Betterpress is very well loved, well used. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our postcard. The image that the side we want the image on is the side we put down in here. And then I have some tape on here from the last time I used it. So we're just going to tape it in these guides. Paying kind of close attention to where it falls in these guides because we want to aim kind of carefully. We don't have too much real estate on this postcard, and our Betterpress image is kind of big, so we do have to kind of aim carefully. And then let's double check here. A little crooked, but that'll be okay. So when we do this, we're going to put our Betterpress plate here, and these lines should line up to these lines. See how that lines up? So we're going to put this over this way a bit. Now the Betterpress, it does shift a little. As you can tell, that plate in there shifts a little, so it's not going to be like precision perfect, but it will be close enough where it will be fine. And if we put it like this, you know, I can see a little bit of the metal on the sides, but that will be okay. We're going to get the majority of our image in there. But the other thing I want to make sure is I put this high enough that I could try to fit a sentiment underneath. I don't know if we're going to get a sentiment on the front of this, but we're going to try. So I'm looking here, and I've got this pretty well lined up. I don't see any of the metal from the star peeking out. I do see some of my metal from the side peeking out, so I am going to just, I can't see it, I'm just going to smudge this way. And these triangles on here, we're not using these today. These are when you're using the layering stencils. We're not going to use the layering stencils. We are just going to paint right on this. So that those triangles, they're not going to show up on our image, but just wanted to let you know what they are there for. They make lining up the layering stencil very, very easy. So again, just double checking. All right, now we're ready to ink up our Betterpress. And what I use is I just use the Versafine Clear Nocturne. I've experimented with tons of different inks on my Betterpress, and you don't have to buy the Betterpress ink. It all works. And I just shifted that a little, shifting it back. You do want to make sure you get a fair bit of ink on your image. So I know some people say you could just, re-ink your image and run it through the Betterpress again. I've never had any luck with that. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to reposition again. I'm not too worried about the ink that's kind of splattered on there because that should not affect our postcard, and if it does, we'll clean it up better next time. All right, so let's try this. Got everything aligned, putting my plate down, putting my ink away so I don't smush my fingers in it. I've already got ink all over my hands. That's always fun. I cannot do this without getting ink on myself, it seems. And as you can tell, I get ink all over my platinum too. So tape that down. Now there is a little bit of the tree showing. Not worried. We're just going to send this through as it is. And I'm going kind of slow, and then I'm going to reverse. Just trying to make sure I got lots of ink pushed into this postcard. Again, as long as I don't take it out, I can run it through multiple times, but the times I've tried to take it out and re-ink that bottom image, it never works for me. So we're going to hope we got enough ink on there. And if we didn't, because we're watercoloring, that's okay. Watercolor is not meant to look perfect. You're supposed to have a dreamy look to it. All right. I'm going to move platinum off screen now. All right, let's see. Moment of truth. How did we do? Voila. Oh, we got some ink on there. All right. So, decision time. Do I turn the video off, start a new video? No, we're not going to start a new video. What we're going to do is we're just going to work with it. We're going to do this one more time. And the next time I put it through, I'm going to wipe some of this extra ink off, like this. Sometimes, if I get a lot of overspray like this, I will try using a smaller ink pad too, but this is basically what we're going to do. And we're also going to move our tree over just a little, just a smidge. The good news is it does look like we had enough room for a sentiment at the bottom, so, okay. Now I don't need to do that much cleaning. Let's get some of this extra wiped up. So we're going to tape down our spare postcard here. And because this is watercolor paper, I could probably take, look, I just smudged it more. I could probably take my mechanical eraser, my battery powered eraser, and grind that off, but that is a lot of effort. So we're just going to do it again. So taping this little guy down. Quite honestly, the more intelligent way to do this would be to line this up at the top here, and then do this the opposite way. So when I put this down, if I put my top right there, we know where that's lined up. Let's do it like that. And I'm not paying too much attention to the direction that the reverse side is on. I don't think it really matters that much. All right, and I just realized I was off screen doing that. All right, let's fix this. Look, I've smudged again. Try to wipe my hands off a little. This is, the Betterpress is always a messy process for me. Like I'm just made to have inky fingers, I think. Okay, so again, looking at the first one we did, we got a good amount of ink on there. It's just we need to, so I don't think we need to really smush more than we did last time, but we're just gonna lightly do that. I'm gonna put that ink aside, and now I'm just gonna do a little bit of a cleanup this time. Now I didn't see any smudges inside our tree, but we got smudges on the outside, so that's what I'm focused on here. Just lightly dabbing it, trying to make sure I don't touch any of the ink that's on the tree itself, because we need that ink. And look, I just think I did. This is going to be a very long video, but you know what? I know other people make videos and they make it look like so easy to do everything, and they do it all in one shot. That's rarely how crafting goes. So you know what? We're just going to correct our mistakes, keep filming, and not start over again pretending like none of this ever happened. No, we're going to keep it real. Okay, very carefully around there. Carefully on this. And again, I'm looking at the one I just stamped. Where did I have issues at? Trying to make sure I correct all that for our next go at it. All right, I think we're cleaned up. Gonna bring the platinum back up here. We're going to line this up, and now because I put my tree up near the top line here, make sure this one this way. See, I almost did that wrong. And you know what? We've got a little bit of liquid right there. Let's try this off a little for my chamois. I have still been on the search for the perfect chamois on the fly stamp cleaning. I'll probably do a video about the newest stuff I tried. I tried a new little sponge that I saw somebody else swear by in a different video recently. Back to using the chamois. Okay, so here we go. We've got the platinum sticks out. I've got my Betterpress going in. And I could see it shifted a little, but we'll be okay. Just go slow, slow, slow. Try to get that ink time to really push down in there. I'm going to reverse. And again, once it's kind of held in place by the roller, you could go back and forth a few times without worrying about it. It's just once you lift that top plate off, I think it just shifts too much. I never get a clear image if I try to put it through twice with new ink on it. All right. I feel like we've done this before. Deja vu, right? Move the Betterpress, move the spellbinder. Okay, let's go. Gently lift that off, and look at that. Much better. We went off the side a little, but you know what? It will be okay. So I'm going to take my image off of here. I'm going to try not to get any more ink on it. I am going to give this a quick dab right here so we don't have too much ink just sitting on it. And this is how I clean my Betterpress plates, just with the chamois. I just dab lightly. I don't know what these dies are made of, but they feel like a little, they don't feel sharp, but they feel rough, so I try not to be too rough while cleaning them. And I know that they are coated with some sort of thing, so I think you can't use really harsh cleaners on them either, so it's just water on the chamois. Okay, boring cleaning part is over. We're going to put this just aside. We're not going to take that out. We're just going to leave it as it is. We're going to move that aside. We're going to look at our image. Okay, so this came out pretty good. I've got a wrinkled corner on this postcard, and we've got smudges for my fingers before I started, but you know what? We're going to roll with it. We're going to color this, and then when we're done coloring, I am going to dry it, and then we'll see if we could fit one of these sentiments on. We might not fit a sentiment on the front. If not, that's okay. Now, the unfortunate part is to dry this, and we need it to be very dry because we're going to be adding water to it. I am going to have to use my little heat tool. I apologize for the sound this makes. Cover your ears, cover your cat ears. It's going to get loud for a second. And I just want to make sure this is very dry so I could add water to it without smudging everything. Hoping this little Tim Holtz one doesn't make too much noise. Also, be very careful of your surface when you do this. The mat I am currently using, I have this covering my glass mat actually because I can't deal with the glare. The mat I'm currently using, I have a spot where I accidentally bubbled it using this Tim Holtz tool. Actually, this isn't the Tim Holtz branded one, it's just the Ranger branded one. But again, just lightly. And the watercolor paper is going to warp and move around. Don't worry about it. There's ways to fix that later if it bothers you. It really doesn't bother me that much. So again, slow. Trying not to burn my little fingies. Slow. Ideally, I would stamp this and leave it out for another day to watercolor, but I'm not doing that. I'm doing it from the back a little. I know this is like really high octane action stamping, huh? Alright, I think we're good enough. We're going to roll with it now. So the other thing about the watercolor, we're going to be adding watercolor to this, so it is going to warp the paper. So what I'm going to do is, I have these clipboards from Amazon, and I use them for watercoloring. Now, if you're worried about them warping, or if you have a problem with warping, you can waterproof these little clipboards, and they become like a cheap little artist tool. I don't even waterproof mine, and they've held up just fine. So I'm going to tape this down. tape there. I'm going to put this one at the top. It's going to be interesting doing this side because, you know, our tree went off the side here. So I think we're going to tape around the side. So I'm going to tape up here. Leave that little bit where I could color those books. And then I'm going to tape the bottom. And this is just going to keep our paper flatter while we are painting on it. I'm going to tape down here in case we want to put some texture behind where we're going to try to fit a sentiment. So again, it's just going to keep my paper from really like scrunching up and stuff while I am using the water and the paint. All right, let's bring out our inspiration. We'll put those there. We're going to get my watercolor palette out here. And I'm not going to be too careful about the colors I pick because, again, that will make this take a very long time. We don't want it to take a very long time. We're going to be just kind of loose with it. So I got my jar of water up here. And that's just a jar from the dollar store. I like the ones with the lids on it because I have cats. And it helps keep the cats out of it. And I probably don't... I activated these earlier, but I think they dried. I'm going to start with this darker purple right there. That's what it's going to look like. And, you know, let's look at the inspiration picture on the back here. So in their picture, they did a lot of little details. We're not doing the stencil, so we're not going to have a lot of those details. We're just going to do kind of loose with it. So just a little purple there. We'll do a little purple down here. A little over here. Again, not being too careful. It's watercolor. It's supposed to look loose and it's supposed to be, I think they describe it as like a dreamy watercolor look. Although I'll tell you, there are many I have made where it comes out more like a nightmare than a dream. But you know what? I keep trying. I enjoy doing it. I don't care if other people think it's ugly. They don't have to get a card from me if they don't like it. Alright, so here. And I know it's a Christmas card, but we are doing these pinks in here. Just, you know, our Easter basket colors. It's okay. And honestly, looking at my color cube card, I had more purples on there than pinks, but oh well. Usually if I'm going to do a flower or something, I have a swatch card that I use, a little swatch book that tells me which colors I'm dipping in. As you can tell, I'm just kind of going with it here. Ooh, that's a dark purple. Let's lighten that one up a little. I like using I have a little towel that I use my watercolor. As you can tell, I've got a lot of water on this page now, so you can see it's still trying to buckle, even though we taped it down, but that's okay. It'll dry. It's watercolor. Just blending this in a little. Will it be a hot mess? Maybe. Will it be beautiful? Maybe. Do I worry about it? No. I just try to have fun with it. Alright, here we go. Let's see. So I think I have a purple. These are Daniel Smith watercolors. And I have a purple that I really love. It's called Moon Glow. And this palette I made for doing florals and such. I haven't used it in a little while. I think this is my favorite purple here. Yeah, there's some Moon Glow. I always tell people if I was going to eat paint, Moon Glow is the color I would eat because I love it so much. I do not recommend eating your paint though. It does not make you a better artist, despite what other people say. Don't eat the paint. Not going to help. The only thing that makes you a better artist is practicing and making more stuff. Alright, so we have our colors pretty much down here. Our Easter colors. So we got a couple decisions to make. Am I going to leave the background as is? Where am I going to put my sparkly in? What are we going to do next to make this look like a finished card? Alright. I think what we're going to do is we're going to dry this layer and maybe we'll get wild and crazy, dab a sponge on the other parts that we have showing, and then we'll do sparkle for the star. Yeah, I have some bright gold. Maybe we'll do one of these, and that's where we're going to put our shine in. It's going to be on the star. So again, getting that heat tool out. Apologies, it's going to be loud for a second. So here we go. So we're going to, usually in watercolor, you wait for it to dry, but I'm not a patient person, so I often make it dry. And you can see how it is getting lighter as it dries. Watercolor pretty much always does that. And again, you know, it's giving us kind of a dreamy look here, some blends. I feel like it's a little unbalanced though, so what we're going to do, we're going to stop drying for a second. I'm going to go back in with my paint. Trying to remember which color. I think it was this color here. This one right here. So I'm just going to add a little more pink on this side. A little more pink up here. So we're, you know, just a little more balanced. And there is no method to this madness. Like, I'm just really, honestly, just scribbling with the paint. And it turns out fine. So you don't have, if you're hesitant to try watercolor and you're like, oh no, I'm not a painter, you don't have to be a painter. You're basically just coloring with a paintbrush a lot of the times. And then, so I've got like a harsh line right there. Let's go back in some of this darker purple. Just right over that harsh line. A little bit of moon glow over that harsh line to hide it. And more moon glow throughout. Yeah, I tend to get crazy with the moon glow. Okay, let's stop with moon glow. Put the moon glow down. Don't eat it. Let's dry it. Alright. Still seeing some shine. How do you know it's dry? Well, dry enough for us is going to be we're not going to see any shiny spots in the paper anymore. And I can still see some shiny spots. We're going to look this up. See how, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but there's a spot right here where I just put a lot of water down, trying to get that nice and dry. Trying not to stay in one spot too long because I don't want to, you know, warp or burn anything too much. And I'm looking at it. Alright. So now, crazy fun with the sponge. What I'm going to do, what color should we go in with the sponge? I'm going to push my tape. See, it's warping a little because of the heat in the water. It'll be fine. Let's see. I don't want to do too dark of a purple. And I don't want to go moon glow. I always go for moon glow. Let's do this. Let's take this purple. Blend it in with whatever color's there, whatever color's here. I'm just going to blend a bunch of colors here. Add more water to this. And like I said, I'm not a professional painter, so this is just the way I do it. I'm sure there's other ways other people do it. And confession time, this is my first time using the sponge. So let's try using the sponge dry. And just whack, 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 whack. I know, I don't even know what those sound effects are. And just a little bit of a background here. And I was trying to avoid my star area, but there. Now we don't have a stark white background. And yeah, it's gonna, here. Okay. Oh, tore my paper, no! That'll be fine. We're gonna move the paper. You just saw me make a mistake with the peeling the tape off. Be more gentle than I was. And these are very cheap watercolor postcards from Amazon too. I want to say I paid under $5 for an entire package of them. So scan those areas where the tape was covering, so I don't have an uneven white outline. And if my tree was centered better, I probably would have left an outline and been more careful where I was placing the tape, but it is what it is. I don't feel like going back and trying a bunch of times to achieve perfection. I don't need to do that. It'll be fine. I think we trip ourselves up too much trying to think our stuff needs to be perfect every time, and it doesn't. This is made by a person, not a machine. And quite honestly, sometimes when I look at like the cards and like the books and stuff I see at the store, the machine doesn't even get it that perfect. Like I used to obsess about my mini books and think, oh my god, my corner's not square, it's not perfect. But then I was in Ollie's and I was looking at some of like the books and stuff, and it's like, wait, the corners on these books they're selling aren't perfect either. So why am I beating myself up trying to make things perfect when I don't need to? All right, here we go. I'm done with the sponge. Actually, no, I'm not done with the sponge. Hey, look, cat hair. No cat cameo today, but we did get a little bit of cat hair in there. Let's bring out a little bit of paper. It's purple, so right here in the paper, it's looking a little like I picked more up with the sponge than I put down, so just, yeah, whatever colors are over here. I get a little crazy with my water too. I am not a clean, aesthetically pleasing crafter. Like, I can't get my nails done and do this like some other ladies do. Like, they're fun to watch when they have their nails matching their paper and like everything's in pinks. Nah, that's not me. I'm too messy for that. All right, so I think this is good enough. You can see where the paper got torn up here. We'll worry about that later. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be that noticeable. We're going to try to dry our background here. A little trickier because I took the tape off. And again, it's warping, but there are ways to fix that. We can mist the back of the paper. We could put it under a book. We could bend it into place. We could, if we don't want to send this as just a one-layer postcard, we could even glue or tape this down to another postcard back, and that will make it straighter. There's lots of ways to fix that. I don't worry too much about it. It's watercolor. It's supposed to have texture. It's supposed to look like this. The texture is really what makes watercolor special. And honestly, I love the texture of watercolor paper on cards. I just think that extra depth and dimension, it really makes your card look fancy and look, you know, I don't want to say more expensive, but like, you know, like there's more to it than just a regular card. Okay, moving that over. All right, so these, I did not activate these, so we're gonna, let's see, I don't have these swatched out to be honest, but we need our shiny bit in there. So just trying to pick up quite a bit of this metallic paint. I don't know if you can see that in camera. I'm just going to paint in our star. Oh, is that pretty? These FinTech paints for metallics, they are absolutely gorgeous. I actually find myself not using them very much because they're so pretty, and you know, they're more expensive than my other ones. So I usually use these for special occasions, as funny as that sounds. So we got our sparkle, our shine. That's what it was. It wasn't sparkle, it was shine. We put shine on our tree. Another way we could get some shine in here is I'm going to go back to my big paintbrush. And again, usually I don't do this with my expensive ones. I have like a little cheap knockoff palette I usually do splatter with, but I'm just going to try to splatter some. Going with a little more water. There's splatter on there, but it's not really showing up good on the camera. We're going to get this brush a lot wetter. There we go. There. Now we have lots of shine on there. Okay, wash the brush off. We're going to put these paints away. Oh, look, I splattered on my color cue card. Oops. Does it surprise you that I am a messy splatter person, too? It should not surprise you. I'm going to put that away. And then I'm actually going to go out of frame for a second here and grab the stamp wheel. Today we're going to use Stamp Wheel Junior. This is the original stamp wheel. He's a little smaller than the Big Mama one. This is the baby. Put my lid on this water so I don't have water over it. The cats can't get to it. I am going to go at this with the heat tool one more time. I'm trying to keep it in frame so you can tell. Okay, let's do this one more time. Let's try this splatter. And we could have masked off an area for our sentiment. I didn't think we needed to, though. Try carefully get this all nice and dry. Especially, I can see there's some water on here, right here. And try not to aim that heat tool at anything precious because it will warp things. I just bought this large mat to cover my glass mat. I bought it on Amazon. I had to get a really big one because I was very paranoid about scratching up my glass mats. I have a story about that I'll tell some other time. But I bought this so I could, work over my glass mat, not have the glare, not have to constantly be paranoid about putting stuff on the mat. And then I was drying something. I think I was drying watercolor stuff, and I wasn't thinking. I tried to dry it right sitting on my mat, and I got a bubble in this mat. I haven't tried too hard to get the bubble out. I'm just like working around it. I could try like heating it up and then putting hard, very heavy things on it. I'm sure that would help, but for now, just working around it. Okay, I think our splatter's pretty dry. So I'm gonna put that away. We're almost done. I know, longest process video ever, right? But this is a chance to get to know each other. You guys see the chaos that governs my crafting. So pushing this down on here. Because of the watercolor paper, I'm actually going to tape this down a little. We've been working with the watercolor paper a lot, and it hasn't had time to like rest and reform, so I'm just going to use, look, we're going to put the evil tape back on, but this time de-sticky it a little. So we have these sentiments, and we could actually go this way with it. Yeah, we're going to do that actually. We're going to try to visually correct for the little oopsie with the press plate, and we're going to put this over here like it's leading towards the other side of the card to try to balance it a little. These are brand new to me stamps. I haven't used them yet, so I also haven't conditioned them. We're going to hope that it stamps well, it stamps complete. I've had some slight issues with stamps recently where there's like gobs of plastic missing. Alright, let's do this. We're not going to worry too much about it. Again, we're just going to move right along, try to get this video over with. Going back to Nocturne ink, which I love so dearly. But honestly, we could probably do something clever here. Let's see. I have this green gold ink from Altenew, and I call it fake gold because when we stamp with this, you get the look that you would get from a gold metallic without all the fuss of using a metallic ink. So let's see how this looks. If it doesn't look good, we can always cover it with black. Pressing down, making sure it gets in there. We're going to have to press down a few times. This is watercolor paper, so it is going to have texture to it. It's not going to stamp perfect. We're not looking for the perfect look. We're looking for a watercolor look. There we go. Here's layer 2. I'm betting we have to do at least 3 on this. Oh, it's coming out nice and dark already, actually. Very good. And I just like how it gives you that gold look without dealing with gold metallics. Pigments, they're so very messy. All right, pushing down on here. Voila! Actually, I think we have met our parameters, and I think we're done. So I'm just going to set this aside. I will clean that off after the video. Carefully take our tape off now. And let's talk about the card. Let's bring back the parameter sheet. All right, postcard. Yes, it's a postcard. Got a little wet on the other side. I've got water on my desk, but that'll be okay. I can always glue this to another postcard base to make it flat, make it more sturdy. Honestly, this I probably won't send directly through the mail. It's watercolor. If it gets wet as a postcard, that could be sad. There's stuff you could put on top of it to seal it, but I think I'm actually going to turn my postcard later into a card base and have fun with it like that. But we'll deal with that later. Right now we're doing Craft Roulette. Okay, postcard, check. Easter basket, pinks, purples, some gold in there. We got that down. Packs, packing, package, These books are packed together to create a tree, and Christmas packages could be sitting under our tree. And then our random is shiny, and hoping the camera picks that up well. That metallic watercolor we put on there, very shiny. So I think we succeeded. I think we made a nice card. We met all the parameters, and I had fun doing it. Hopefully you enjoyed watching. And if you like my stuff, give my video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and thank you again for watching.